Olivia.
And I'm Julia.
And this is the Hives and Lows podcast where we talk about pop culture highs and lows, such as our favorites, least favorites, and recent pop culture happenings.
This is a podcast for people who love things as hard as we do.
And this week we are revealing our top 5 favorite movie musicals.
But before that, why don't we hop into Culture Catch-Up? We've been really excited to do this Culture Catch-Up. So much has happened. Olivia, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. So before we get to the big topics, let's just hit some smaller things. Not small, but, just not the meat of the segment, I guess. Suki Waterhouse and Robert Pattinson had their baby.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I know. As you're big Robert Pattinson.
And I have listened to Suki Waterhouse's music.
That's what I was just about to say, and I'm the opposite, where I am a very big Suki Waterhouse fan. So I'm just like, yeah, this is like the best of both worlds. Yeah, I've been super excited, but I've also been like, girl, give me music.
Yeah.
Did you see also so did you watch the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie? That horror movie?
I didn't watch it. I probably watched like the kill count for it.
Okay, so it wasn't very good, but the second one, I don't know if it came out or if
I think
it was premiered or whatever, but it debuted at 100% on Tomatoes. It doesn't have that anymore. But it's very funny that it debuted at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It gives me the same vibe as, I don't know if you remember this, but Mamma Mia 2 and Avengers Endgame came out at the same time, and everyone was talking about how Mamma Mia 2 had a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than Avengers Endgame.
As someone who loves both of those movies, I love that. I think it currently has a 50% with an 81% audience score. So audiences really liked Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey too. Oh yeah, did you see? This is something I'm just going to throw in. Shakira's comments about Barbie.
I didn't read them, but I saw people talking about it.
Yeah, so this is what she said. Wild to me.
Okay.
My sons absolutely hated it. They felt like it was emasculating. No, they didn't. They're 7 and 10. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I agree to a certain extent. I am raising 2 boys, and I want them to feel powerful too, while respecting women. I like pop culture when it attempts to empower women without robbing men of their possibility to be men. Did we watch the same movie? Did we watch the same movie?
Did they watch a cut where Ken just doesn't exist? Did they do that?
It says, without robbing men of their possibility to be men, to also protect and provide. I believe in giving women all the tools and trust that we need, that we can do it all without losing our essence, without losing our femininity. I think that men have a purpose in society and women have another purpose as well. We complement each other, and that compliment should not be lost.
She needs to take a women in gender studies class on masculinity and femininity. My boyfriend cried at that movie, Shakira, so I know that I know multiple men who have felt a lot of stuff from the Barbie movie and have not felt weird about
emasculated. Her 7 and 10-year-old weren't saying that.
No, they weren't.
I'm so confused. And it's your 7 and 10-year-old boys were not walking out of that movie understanding all of the concepts that were going on in the movie. And I'm I get it. I get a 7 and 10-year-old like 7 and 10-year-old boys walking out of Barbie and maybe not loving it. I understand that, but like I feel like this is like a lot of like this is just you talking.
Yeah,
this is not your sons hated it.
It's
this
internalized
is
misogyny.
You didn't like it. Florence Pugh made a video for Marvel.
Oh yeah,
showing some BTS for Thunderbolts, and the video has 1.97 million plus likes and 15K plus comments across all platforms.
Damn.
That's insane to me. And I'm also like, that's smart. They know. They knew. They were like, get Florence to make a little video. And then have her walk around set and give her guidelines of what to show and what not to show. And I love when Marvel does this. It's very funny to me because it's like, it's obviously like so fake. But I love whenever they're like, they have her say like, I'm not supposed to be showing this.
It's like the
Marvel
Tom
would have sniped you if you had said anything. Yeah, it's like Tom Holland when he showed the poster.
Yeah,
I watched that. I remember where I was when I watched that. By the way, when I watched that live, I was in class in high school, and I had the phone under my desk watching the live. But when he like turned the thing around and it said like confidential, and he like gasped and turned the live off, I was like, okay, we know that Marvel had you do this. But also the name has changed from Thunderbolts to Thunderbolts asterisk. Like it's on, like that's what the name changes. What?
That's such a weird...
I'm confused. Also, ugly logo. Why are we doing this? Marvel, why are we putting a great logo up when you announce things and then making them infinitely uglier?
Now I want to look at what the logo looks like now.
It's like yellow, like thin, like font. It's pretty boring, and there's like an asterisk at the end. And I'm probably, when I go see Thunderbolts, because I like Thunderbolts in the comics. So when I heard about this movie being made, I was very excited upon seeing the cast. And then I just keep hearing things that are making me less and less excited. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do. I have predictions for how this movie's going to go, and they're all bad. I don't have like one positive thing, and that's making me really sad. But I'm going to print out like a bingo card and take it with all of my predictions. And I swear to you, my prediction is that if I don't get a blackout, I will get an almost blackout on that card, and I'm stressed. And I'm so stressed.
Now that has inspired me now to have a bingo card for every movie I see.
I want to have a bingo card for like things that I'm like really anticipating, because I wanted to do it for Multiverse of Madness, and I just like didn't have the time. But just so you know, I definitely would have gotten a bingo for Multiverse of Madness, which was also like sort of a disappointment for me. But yeah, let's move on to something that we have been itching to talk about because it happened today.
And as if everyone listening to this podcast, we're filming this on April 1st. So take this from our point of view.
And if you don't, I'm going to give some background, because I do know that there's a lot of people out there who have no idea what's going on. You probably saw either SMOSH trending on Twitter today, Shane trending on Twitter today, Courtney trending on Twitter today. So, I mean, I think everybody knows what SMOSH is. At some point in their lives, probably have watched SMOSH if you're around our age, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger. But castmates Shane and Courtney have been infinitely shipped since, like, 2015. Like,
yeah.
Like, to a point to where, like, back in the day, I genuinely think it was making them uncomfortable. Like, it was, like, crazy. today they posted a picture. I don't know how you do it, like an Instagram like collab picture.
Yeah,
or whatever,
it's like a
where it's
collab
both
picture.
Of them. Yeah, they got married. What? We didn't even know they were dating. Maybe. I mean, no. I guess because now I mean, I'm about like 99.9% sure it's real, and I see my suspicion went way up throughout the day, and when I thought it was going to dwindle throughout the day, the opposite effect took place. Like, I don't even know. I saw it. I'm not kidding. I saw it, and then I saw your thing in the Discord. I was like, thank God somebody said something.
Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. I was like,
I wanted to. Like, I was like, well, at first I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, it's April 1st. and then I looked in the comments. And they were like, and I was like, okay, it makes sense all the cast members are in here, in on this joke. And then, like, people who had left, like, years ago started commenting. Like, I saw the one thing that, like, where I was like, oh, this might be real, was So Hinky commented. And I was like, he's in SMOSH games back in the day.
Oh, yes, but, okay.
Yeah, So Hinky commented, and I was like, okay, they didn't call up So Hinky and said, let me get in, can you get in on this joke? You know? like, and then I saw Kimmy's husband comment, and I was like, yeah, this is getting more and more real by the second. And then the premiere for SMOSHcast came down on my, like, YouTube notifications, and I was like, okay, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And then SMOSHcast happened, and it was just, I knew they were gonna do it too. I literally thought it was like, this is gonna be a joke. They're never gonna mention it. If I even said, I was like, if it is Amanda and Shane, they won't say a word about it. No. The entire thing. I even said, I was like, it's gonna be like him saying I did the splits. And then they made 100 he did the splits jokes during it, but it was Angela and Chance dressed as Amanda and Shane. I was stressing like throughout most of the day because I was just like, I admit I am in an unhealthy parasocial relationship with that cast. Yes. I'll admit it. And that was so, like, I'm exhausted. I need a nap after the events of today. Last culture catch-up thing of the day, and I want to be festive. So yes, Cowboy Carter came out.
Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. It's a masterpiece. It's so good. I have maybe listened to it like upwards of like 15 to 20 times. There's 27 songs.
Yeah.
So it's like a hefty album. And you know what? I'm not complaining. The more she gives me, the happier I will be. Mm. So it's so good. It's so good. The second I heard like the first like 5 seconds of American Requiem, I was like, yeah, this is, yeah, I'm gonna love this. I mean, I had no doubts because I love Beyonce, but like, it's so good. It's so like beautiful and like meaningful and like very like personal to her. And I just, so good. So good. It's so good. It's so good. And I don't know how far you got on the album. Did you hear?
I did the thing where I accidentally hit shuffle. So I don't know.
Oh, no.
I know.
No, you gotta go back and listen to it. Like,
I'm going to go back.
Fully
don't
through.
You worry. Yes.
Because it is like an experience going just like straight through it. They like, it's like so fluid the way they like go, the songs go into each other. It like tells like a whole, it's
I love it when they do that.
It's so good. It's so good. And then maybe next culture catch up after you've listened to it all, we'll like gab a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
But, like, oh my gosh, but did you hear Most Wanted with Miley Cyrus?
No, I didn't even
like, in my head, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be good, because anything that Beyonce does, I'm like, yeah, this is good. But I did not. I was shocked at how well that their voices work together.
I'm so excited to listen to that.
Shocked. I thought they were gonna like. I was like, okay, they both have incredible voices. They're gonna work together. It's gonna be good. But like, no, they like their voices like belong together, and I was not expecting that. It's so. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. And like everybody's talking about Yaya on Twitter. Did you get to that song?
I don't think so.
So that song has everybody like fully like out of their seats, dancing, just singing, and I'm just like, well, yeah, that song is like a spell is being cast on me to move. Like, it's incapable to sit still during that song. I also love how in Blackbird she like incorporated those other 3 Black country singers, and I'm just like, stop it, this is so good. And
so
it's like it's so good.
It's also like, because I don't know what other songs she does that are like already like done songs, but Blackbird and like Jolene like like it's so good because it's also her own kind of take on it. And I was like, because I listened to Jolene because I was like, okay, I need to listen to this because I saw an interview with Dolly Parton like years ago being like, whenever Beyonce does Jolene, it's all over for all of us, and it was so good. I was like,
yes. And I love Dolly Parton too. So
I love Dolly Parton so much.
I mean, everybody loves Dolly.
Yes.
Everybody loves Dolly.
If you're listening to this podcast, you should watch 9 to 5. She's hilarious in that movie. Such a good movie.
Yes. And then her like flexing, Beyonce flexing her vocals in Daughter, crazy,
insane. So
like,
good.
I literally had like my jaw was like dropped fully, and like I was like frozen, like paralyzed. Like I literally had to pause the song after because I was like, I need time to digest. I don't do that for like first like album listen throughs because I want to like experience it usually.
I'm the same way, yeah.
But I had to because I was like, what did I have to digest what just happened, the vocal like masterpiece that I just listened to. Oh my gosh.
So good.
Oh my gosh. Like, it's just, it's so good. If you haven't listened to Cowboy Carter, y'all,
get on it.
Get on it. Get on it right now. I think it's time that we reveal our top 5 favorite movie musicals. Like the last 2 episodes, we made individual lists. So this is the time when we get nervous because we're like, what's on each other's lists? And we both have no idea, obviously, what we put on each other's lists. And just so everybody is aware when we are, because we needed to set these parameters. So when we're talking about movie musicals, we were talking about like adaptations of musicals, not like pro shots or anything like that, or slime tutorials. So yes, we're just talking about like the adaptations of musicals. So Julia, do you want to start with your number 5?
Yeah, let's start with my number 5. So my number 5, before we started recording, we were talking about how a lot of these selections are kind of nostalgia based. So my number 5 is Grease.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up on Grease. My parents did Grease together in high school. That's how they kind of got
so
to.
cool.
Yeah, he was my dad was Danny, and my mom was Rizzo. So they so like Grease has been in my life for a very, very long time. I've done it twice. So like I love it. Is it super, super problematic? Yeah. Is Danny the worst person ever? Yeah. Are the songs so good? Yes. Like, I'm sorry. I jam out to Grease Lightning constantly. That
That's
song
good.
is such a bop. It's so good. And then also like I'm trying to think of other ones. My dad keeps trying to argue with me that, for those who don't know, in Grease was originally musical on stage, and then they adapted it into a movie, and they changed the ending song from like I'm all choked up to like you're the one that I want. And my dad keeps trying to argue with me that all choked up is better than you're the one that I want. And I'm like, Dad, no. Like, you're the one that I want is a bop.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so good. The vocals are
It's an
good.
earworm.
It's an earworm.
It's an earworm. And
It's
I feel like for Grease, you kind of, they're almost all earworms.
yeah.
But the ones that aren't really aren't. You know?
It's even the beginning song, Grease is the word. I think there was a time in my life where I listened to that song all day for a day. Because it was so good. Also, since we're talking about Grease, rest in peace to Rise of the Pink Ladies. I'm so sorry for your loss. You deserve to live on and prosper. That was a good show.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but maybe I should.
Anyway, Olivia, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is Mary Poppins, 1964.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so nostalgia based. I don't even know if I have to explain the plot of Mary Poppins, but then I think about it and I'm like, did people my age when they were like little, like sit down and watch Mary Poppins? Okay. Well, she's a nanny. She's like a magical nanny who like comes from the sky, and she like helps this family, and like she helps improve this like family's like dynamic and stuff. And it's good. Julie Andrews is Mary Poppins, and Dick Van Dyke is Bert. And it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie, and the songs are bops. The songs are bops. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and Spoonful of Sugar. Those things, they're bops. And also, some people, I found this out recently, some people thought this movie was boring. And I'm like, I know it drags. I know that in some places it drags. But also, like, little me didn't think it was boring. And I'm like, I don't know if it's maybe because I wasn't like, when I was like really little, I didn't have like YouTube and TikTok brain, because those things weren't a thing. So I'm like, I don't know if it's that, or like, because I don't know if I just had more tolerance for like movies that drag or whatever. But I do know it drags in some parts, and I like get that. But then I like see people, there's like a big, like, people like don't like Mary. Like, people like hate her.
It's
online.
Andrews.
But because they're like, it's the same thing. I don't know, because you just watched Avatar. I don't know if you watched or are going to watch Korra. Legend of Korra.
I'm going to, but I think I know where you're going, but go on.
Okay, yeah. So I think this is the same thing as like the hate I'm seeing online for Cora, where it's like she's too self-assured and she's like arrogant and like she's a little rude. And it's like, yeah, she was, but like, why is that horrible? Why is that like, why does that make her like like not a tolerable human? It's like the same thing whenever people like hate Captain Marvel for the same stuff that Tony Stark does.
Yep.
Like, it's like that sort of thing where it's like, so you just hate when women do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, I think it's that sort of thing, because I was like seeing people online being like, Mary Poppins is like really arrogant and like a little rude whenever I go back and watch the movie, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like if I was like a magical nanny who was fixing people's lives like all the time, I'd probably be a little arrogant as well.
Yeah. You want to get stuff done, man. Like,
but I also think like, I think people have this notion, like whenever I think of like young nannies depicted in like movies and stuff, they're very like soft spoken, polite, sweet. She's not really that. And I think that also just might be like, I'm not used to this. And that like puts people off. I don't know. But this movie is like extremely nostalgic for me. The emotional beats work so well in this movie. Like, I'm feeling it. Every time I watch this movie, I'm feeling it. And the use of live action with the animation. Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Good. It just pushes this movie like over the edge for me. It's so fun. Shall we move on to your number 4?
Yeah. I think my number 4 will be an unpopular opinion because it is a part of a franchise. Mm-hmm. And I have heard that not a lot of people think that this is the best entry, but I don't care because it's my favorite entry. And that is High School Musical 3.
High School Musical 3 is so good. I didn't even think about the High School Musical movies, but oh my gosh, I was such a big fan.
It's okay. I didn't really think about it until I was doing the list, and I was like, yeah, I have to put this on my list because I like was there. Like I wasn't there for the first one premiere because I didn't have cable then, but like I got it from the library, and then when High School Musical 2 came out, I had a whole premiere for my with my grandma because my grandma had cable, and I was like, I'm using your cable to watch High School Musical 2. And then I saw High School Musical 3 in theaters, which I think also helps this movie to its advantage is because of its high budget compared to the other ones and its theatrical release. But I also think like the songs are like absolute bops. I mean, all the songs in High School Musical I think are bops, but like I think the third one does like everything to a 10. I just think High School Musical, the franchise, just doesn't get a lot of credit for what it did. It's so good. And also like in addition, like yes, is every movie the same? Yes, but each of the songs are like so different, and that's why I think High School Musical 3 works is because since it's the last one and like you can tell like there's like a beat that every High School Musical movie has to hit. It has to hit like obviously like the opening of a musical. It has to hit the emotional Troy Bolton song of him being bisexual. Then you have to have the Gabriella song. Then you have to have the like the Sharpay and Ryan song. Like that's evident. Yeah. I think High School Musical 3 does it the best. And I know people are gonna hate me for this. I know people love Bet on It from the second one, and I understand that. I think the golf course is a brilliant setup. But have you heard of Zac Efron in a spinning hallway before?
In a spinning hallway, yes. Yes. I have this vivid memory. My mom and I love High School Musical, and we used to listen to the third movie's soundtrack in the car like over and over. I'm literally about to just forego my fourth pick. Way more memory. I didn't even think about High School Musical, but it would have been my number 4 probably would have been 2, High School Musical 2, because I think I just have a little bit more
That's understandable
with it. But my mom and I going, whenever he's doing that song, he's going, "You can do it. You can do it." And my mom and I, we used to just like be so dramatic and do that part. And it's just the song is just genuinely good too.
It was such a good song. My one of my old roommates who I like roomed with in college for 3 years, they're a music major, so their opinion counts. They say High School Musical 3 is the strongest songs, so I take their opinion as a music major to prove my point. But kind of going off with you and your mom, my dad, like, he's like, okay, whenever you get married, I want the child and father dance to be, can I have this dance from High School Musical? Oh my god.
But yeah, my number 4 was Phantom of the Opera 2004. And listen, here's the thing. I'm just going to say this very quickly because we're going to continue to talk about High School Musical because I've just thrown Phantom out the window. Phantom of the Opera to me is very special because as a musical, but like the movie, like, is just nostalgic for me, and that's it. I fully understand. Like, I literally wrote down, movie is super nostalgic. It dulls the pain in my heart of not being able to see it live because it is one of my favorite musicals of all time. I listen to the soundtrack constantly. It is always in my Spotify Wrapped, even though the singing is just okay, because ultimately the movie's downfall is because you can't just cast okay singers in this musical. So it is on my list for nostalgia purposes only. That's literally what I wrote down.
That's so real. I haven't seen the Phantom of the Opera movie. I've only seen the pro shot of it. So
if you like spectacle movies, something where it's like the set is so impressive, the costumes are so impressive, like genuinely like eye-catching, like extremely impressive, like just to look at, then you'll like it. Because I also wrote that down. It's definitely a spectacle movie because the costumes are excellent and the set is excellent.
Yeah, because Joel Schumacher directed it, correct?
Yes. Yeah, he did. Yeah, didn't he? Because he also did Lost Boys,
right? Yes, and the set design for that is also really good. Like, just...
So if you want, like, a visually stunning movie, then, like, that's for you. But enough about Phantom, because we can talk about... Because I can talk about Phantom all day if we ever do an episode just musicals.
Yeah.
Then I can talk about Phantom in depth there. There's not much to talk about with this movie other than it's extremely nostalgic to me.
Yeah, that's
like, but, like, back to High School Musical.
Back to High School Musical, yes.
I used to have this, I don't know, like, maybe my mom can also, my mom has a lot of confirming to do for this episode, but I think also we had, like, a karaoke machine that was High School Musical based. Like, I just loved it when I moved when I was, like, really little to, like, a different state, and High School Musical 2 was coming out, and we had to, like, stay in a hotel, and I remember, like, being like, nobody has the TV tonight because High School Musical 2 is playing tonight. And, like, and then after High School Musical 2 was the premiere of Phineas and Ferb.
Yes, and then
before, so many memories, like, associated.
And then before that, which I just recently remembered because I saw it on Twitter, like, Hannah Montana.
Yes, there was a voting.
Yes,
there was a voting. You could vote for Hannah Montana and somebody else. I don't know. I voted for Hannah Montana though, because I was a big Hannah Montana fan. But I voted for Hannah Montana, and I, like, remember being like, and she better be in this movie.
Yes, and there she is, Miley Cyrus in all of her glory in the finale.
And there she is. I think my favorite thing about High School Musical 2 is, not, this isn't my favorite thing, but it's just funny, is how Vanessa Hudgens clearly can't swim. So they had her like stunt double and didn't even try. Just like a wig on some lady. Like go back and watch that scene where she's saving Sharpay in the pool. She just went back. There's just some lady in a dark wig that didn't even try to make it look like her. And then at the end of the movie, when they're fading to black, Vanessa Hudgens literally like drowning. And I'm like, as a fellow person who cannot swim, I feel her pain. It's so funny. It's so good though. It's so good. But yes, I was there for High School Musical 3 in the theater. Same. Excited. So excited. Because I was just like, this is it. Yeah. We should
move on.
Move on now. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is a weird one. Because I was originally not really thinking about it, and then I saw it. I had to look on Letterboxd for what could be considered as a movie musical, and in case I forgot about it. This film came out in 2021, and I was like, oh, okay. I forgot it came out recently. It's Cyrano? I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it. So it's the retelling of Cyrano de Bergerac, which is that story of like there's a guy who's not really usually known as like to be the most like attractive man, but he has a best friend that's a woman that he is like absolutely in love with, but she doesn't know that he's in love with her. So she gets one of his letters or something, but she thinks it's someone else, so he starts using that guy to communicate.
I do know it.
Yeah, but it's okay. So I will set this up as like a really good pitch. It's directed by Joe Wright, who directed Pride and Prejudice. It has Peter Dinklage in it as Cyrano, which is like I haven't seen Game of Thrones. My boyfriend's obsessed with Game of Thrones, but it's so nice to see Peter Dinklage in a role where he's the main character, and that it does not have to do with like, I know a lot of people, the short people, like do sometimes just don't really like that's like their whole image and stuff like that. So for him to have this role and be in like a romance movie is so good. And his voice is really interesting too, because the music's kind of like, I forget who did the music, but it's some rock person, and it's really interesting how they do it. Like I remember, like, I think for my Spotify 2021 Wrapped, like 2 of the songs were on it, because it was just really interesting. It's beautifully stunning. Like, everyone's great.
I need to watch it. Yeah, I need to watch it because I have heard of it, and also love Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage, the man that you are. I love him. So I do need to watch it, but like, yeah, I have seen. For some reason, was it not marketed as a musical?
It wasn't really marketed that well, if anything. Like I
remember hearing about it, but like, what musicals nowadays don't get marketed as musicals because it doesn't bring people to the theaters. Which is why, like, many people were shocked when Timothée Chalamet started singing in Wonka. So, and like also Mean Girls was not really, I mean, like, marketed as a musical, which is interesting. Interesting choice. Interesting choice. But yeah, maybe this fell under that too.
I think I don't remember it being not just not marketed as a musical, just not marketed at all. Because I think it's just a period piece that like, but like it's directed by Joe Wright. So like it's directed by the man who gave us Matthew McFadden as Mr. Darcy. So I don't know how they could not have marketed it, but I think it was also because it was 2021 maybe that it was like such like a year after like kind of like the initial COVID stuff.
Maybe.
That it was just a hard push to put into theaters. But
yeah.
I want to hear what your number 3 is.
My number 3 is Mamma Mia.
Yay!
Mamma Mia. is my third pick. 2008. It is, listen, if you don't know what Mamma Mia is, it's just fun. It's just
so much fun.
It's just so much fun. Meryl Streep, Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, Stellan Skarsgård, and Amanda Seyfried. Come on. It's just so fun. This is a movie where I think you can cast people who are just okay singers, which is what they did. You can't do that with Phantom. You can do that with Mamma Mia. Are you seeing the difference here? Like, the whole movie is just like one big disco. Also, ABBA is one of my favorite bands, so it was going to love it anyway. It's just wholesome, good fun. And it works that there's not polished vocals because it literally, the whole movie feels like you're at like a nonstop disco vacation with your buds who
so
are
real.
also who are just wasted and having fun. That's what it feels like.
I love Mamma Mia. That's
and
a
it just
perfect
somehow
description.
works. You know, it's not the best movie from like a technical standpoint, even plot wise, not the best, but it's fun, and I feel like I said before, people who claim to love movies hate fun.
They do.
They hate fun. Like, I love movies, and I also love Mamma Mia. You know? What is your number 2?
Okay, my number 2. I was so surprised that I didn't even think about this one until I was reorganizing. This was the one that made me realize that I needed to change my list, because originally I did have pro shots, and then I was like, wait, this doesn't fit, and also I need to put this movie on here. At my number 2, I have Little Shop of Horrors.
I knew you were gonna put it on your list. I knew it.
Article coming out soon. For those who don't know, Little Shop of Horrors was originally like a I think it was the 1960s B movie that in the 80s was turned into an off-Broadway musical, and it's still off-Broadway, which I find so interesting that they never brought it to Broadway, and I think that's what adds its charm. And then it was made into a movie, and I think it's so good, because I think I love musicals that know that they're musicals and use that to their advantage. Like, you can tell that Little Shop is set on a soundstage, but because everything just looks like a soundstage and it looks like you're watching a musical, it just works. And also because I think it's so, like, for the time, like, the technology of the puppet, amazing. Fantastic. Yeah. I also love how Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver were in Ghostbusters together, and they both complained about having to deal with puppets because Sigourney Weaver had to deal with it in Alien, and he had to do with Little Shop, because I think they have to do something different with the speed of it to make it fit. So interesting. Also, songs are bops. Alan Menken, Howard Ashman, y'all, these songs are like so catchy. Like, currently my on repeat both have Skid Row and the opening song. They're so good. Suddenly Seymour's great. And then just also Steve Martin as the dentist is one of the greatest casting decisions of like all time. I think that is such an iconic, like, he just does a great job. I think all the actors in this film do such a great job. Like, I personally love Rick Moranis' voice. Like, I do listen. I think it's like what you said about, like, obviously, like a musical like Phantom, like, you can't cast okay singing actors, but I think because of Rick Moranis' kind of like awkwardness and kind of like shy quality is what makes him work for Seymour. And I understand some people don't like the original cut of the film because they give them the happy ending, but look, Seymour might have killed some people, but he did it for love. He did it for Audrey. But the director's cut is also really interesting, and also the three women icons. I forget what their group is named. But they're so good.
Yeah.
I love them.
I knew that you
I can talk about Little Shop all the time, and I will.
This on here,
in an article,
and I was
but,
like,
yeah.
I'm just gonna let them talk. I love Dream
Okay.
so much. I love Dreamgirls so much. It hits me in the feels every single time. It stars Jamie Foxx, Beyonce, Eddie Murphy, Jennifer Hudson. It just the cast is so just like you can't get more perfect. You can't get more perfect. And it's just the movie is so good. I'm like, okay, so it is also one of if we ever do a musical episode, Dreamgirls is also one of my favorite musicals. It just means a lot to me and I love it so much. But it's just also one of my all-time favorite movie soundtracks. Like in general, I listen to it all the time. And like I think that the movie tries to gaslight us. And the movie does. It tries to gaslight us. It's like he was like when Curtis calls her the Beyonce the mediocre singer. I was like, yeah. I was like, so you're gaslighting the movie. He's gaslighting us into Beyonce into saying that Beyonce is mediocre. And I'm like, okay. Okay, movie. Okay. Sure. In your warped reality, okay. But also, like, Jennifer Hudson literally won an Oscar. Like, she's so, like, Effie is such a hard part to play. Like, in, like, musical history. Just, like, theater history is just, like, a hard part to play. And she just, like, made it so, like, effortless. Just, like, I'm Jennifer Hudson, and I'm here to do my thing. And I'm just like, yeah. Like, so, like, oh my gosh, I love her. And pretty much, just, like, when I was rewatching it this morning for, like, the 80th time, I was just like, this movie just, like, makes it, this is also, like, a nostalgic thing, obviously, for me, but is this just, like, how do you just, like, make music that good? Like, it's just, like, unfathomable to me that I'm just, like, that, like, music like that exists, and that we're just, like, living in a time in which we can just, like, so easily accessible for us to just, like, hop on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever and just, like, hear Beyonce do Listen, or, like, hear Jennifer Hudson do, and I'm telling you, like, I'm just like, we live in such a time. Your number one next?
Ooh. My number one, this might be a little bit of an obvious one, because we're counting movie musicals. And a lot of movie musicals are also animated films. And it's interesting because my number two and my number one had similar lyricist and musician person. My number one's The Little Mermaid. Olivia was like, yeah, we already know. Like, I can talk all day about how good this movie is. I think it's still one of the greatest animated films of all time, and also one of the greatest films of all time. I think it's a really well-paced film, which I think a lot of people don't recognize. But I remember watching it with my friends, and they're all like, damn, this is, like, really going by, like, a well-paced thing. Like, it's done really well. I think the animation's gorgeous. It's so colorful. It's so beautiful. The, like, world that they create with that animation is amazing. And the songs are so good. Like, all the songs are so good. Like, even the opening song, Fathoms Below, Bob. Like even that song, they extended it in multiple different versions of the movie, and it's so good. And I think obviously, like, the songs are like, I believe I think Under the Sea won an Oscar. But like, that movie is like the reason why we have like the Disney Renaissance happened. For those who don't know, the Disney was in a rut in the 80s. And The Little Mermaid was kind of the first one to kind of bring back to Disney's self. So, and it's all because of like musicals and stuff like that, because Howard Ashman was like, I feel like musicals and animation pair really well together. And I think it works out well. All the characters are so interesting. Ariel did not go to the surface for a man, I swear to God. And it's so good. I can. Your number one.
I love Hairspray. I love
Hairspray is so good.
The cast for the 2007 version was poppin'. Like, what? Like, John Travolta, Michelle Pfeiffer, Christopher Walken, Amanda Bynes, Queen Latifah, Brittany Snow, Zac Efron, Elijah Kelly. Oh, Elijah Kelly. I know. Alison Janney.
Elijah Kelly is so good.
I just love this movie so much. It's literally one of the best, like, musical movies I have ever seen. Like, it's so, like, I don't even, like, know how to explain how, like, perfect it is, because it truly is so perfect. It's so strong. It's so strong. When I think of, like, musicals, I usually think of, like, a couple standout people in the cast. But, like, aside from, like, Elijah Kelly, like, everybody is, like, on a level playing field, and it's, like, out of 10. Like, and then, like, Elijah Kelly is obviously at like a 15. But
yes. Oh my
God. And like, I can watch it like over and over and over again and like never get tired of it. Without Love has consistently been on my Spotify Wrapped for like the past like 5 years. Like, it's just so good. It's just so
amazing.
Good. That song,
I'm so glad.
That version
of
that song is just, oh my gosh! Like, they were really doing the thing. They were really doing the dang thing with it. And then like John Travolta as Edna and Christopher Walken as Wilbur was genius. Like, why do they have that? Why do they have like off the charts chemistry? Like, literally, why do they have such good chemistry?
I
know. All the songs are bops. No skips. No skips. And then also, I love the change from the original to this one where little Inez wins the pageant. It's such an excellent shift. It's so good.
Yes, I agree.
Beautiful change. And it's just it's so absolutely like, it's, I don't even know like how to express how much I love Hairspray. When I found out like in like 2020, we were all like, you know, pandemic tings. And my sister, I found out my sister had not watched Hairspray, and I was like, we are sitting and we're watching Hairspray. It was like, we were sitting down and we're watching Hairspray, and she's like a huge theater nerd now. She is a theater kid, and I like to think I planted the seeds early with Hairspray when she was 10. But it's just so good. And like, Zac Efron, like, who knew? Like, I mean, we kind of knew because of High School Musical, but like, we didn't, like, come on. But like, who knew? Like, seriously. Like, wow.
Yeah, I kind of did a similar thing that you did to your sister. My boyfriend had never seen Hairspray, so my friend and I sat him down, and he's, as we've discussed, he doesn't like fun movies.
Yeah.
But he was very much enjoying looking at Zac Efron. So there was at some point, it's during Miss Baltimore Crabs, and he left the room and he was like, okay, can you pause when Zac Efron like starts singing again? And it took me like 2 seconds and I instantly paused like
It's
right
just
before
so
he speaks
good.
because I'm like you, I've watched that movie
It's so, yes,
like
it is
every
so
day of my
rewatchable.
life.
Just,
It's so good. It's so
fun,
rewatchable.
and
It's so
I
good.
think some, there's like a discussion online about whether it's like white savior sort of sitch or not. And I'm like, here's the thing. Number one, 2007, based on something way earlier. But also, the way that this 2007 version has shifted and changed things, I feel like it saves it pretty well from this. Like, I mean, if we're comparing like Hairspray to like The Blind Side, like, come on, one of those things is like way more like white savior sort of like sitch than this one. But like, I really do think that the changes that they made in this 2007 version were like needed and like have aged pretty well, honestly. I actually remember seeing this movie in the movie theater and like falling in love.
Thank you for listening to us ramble this week on musicals and engagement things. Please follow us at Zhive Media on all social media platforms, and also give us a follow on our personal social medias as well. Those links will be in the bio.